A sheriff talks plainly about the lack of respect that is killing officers. First-person perspective on whether these deaths change how they do their jobs. Long security lines at the Capitol may lead to a toll lane. You have a Valentine waiting for you this year if you're willing, someone who might not otherwise get a single piece of mail. This guy isn't awkwardly blocking the D in Denver. His name is Enver, and he's come a long way for these pictures. And they're reunited, and it feels so good. Had to go halfway around the world to find our old friend. Next. The El Paso County Sheriff says this has been his fear since his first day on the job, that he would lose a deputy. Sheriff Bill Elder said today that his heart is broken over the death of Detective Micah Flick. Within the hour, we got our best idea yet of what exactly happened leading up to the detective's death in Colorado Springs last night. First, though, we want to share the sheriff's thoughts after 3 law enforcement officers in Colorado have been killed in 36 days.
This is a tough business. I've been in this business my entire life. It's a dangerous profession to be in, and unfortunately, in the past few years, there has been a lack of respect for the men and women that are there to protect our communities, and frankly, it just it shocks me. It shocks my staff. It shocks the leadership of public safety throughout the country.
Here's what we know about what happened last night in the Springs. An auto theft task force, CSPD, state troopers, and El Paso County Sheriff's detectives, including Micah Flick, located a stolen car, and they saw a suspect leave it. They tried to arrest him as he walked through the parking lot of an apartment complex. They say that there was a struggle. Suspect pulled a handgun and started firing. Officers fired back. The suspect, who we now know was a teenager, was shot and killed. First time he's being publicly identified as 19-year-old Manuel Zatina. Police say that he lived in Colorado Springs. Checked, he's got a history of some minor drug and traffic charges. The Springs police officer who was shot last night has been treated and released, along with an El Paso County deputy who was hit by shrapnel. Another deputy who was shot in the stomach is still in the hospital, along with a civilian who was hit in the crossfire. The funeral for Detective Flick is scheduled for this Saturday at New Life Church in the Springs. It will be open to the public. We have all the details we know about that service, as well as how you can donate to a Sheriff's Office fund for the family in this article on 9news.com. And when it comes to those donations, we wondered, do the families of the fallen get hit with tax consequences, or is that money considered a gift? Our Marshall Zellinger has been looking into whether it makes a difference where you donate to these families.
Right, and so often GoFundMe sites pop up right away, Kyle, and we're always cautioned not to do them because we've learned about that 3 times in the last 6 weeks. Law enforcement prefer you to donate to their specific charitable foundation. Well, the Brotherhood for the Fallen Aurora is a charitable foundation made up of Aurora and Thornton police officers. It uses donations to attend services and support families for fallen officers nationwide. Last night, the foundation tweeted, "Please do not crowdfund. This puts a steep tax burden on widows." Well, we don't want that. And the simple answer is, while donations from GoFundMe may be tax-free to the grieving family, we know absolutely charitable foundations are tax-free.
You know, if my grandmother gave me $50,000, that's just a free $50,000 to me. Putting the crowdfunding site in between the donor and the recipient of those funds adds a little bit of confusion.
So according to Dr. Lassar, long story short, Kyle, is that as long as it's clear that the donations were meant for a charitable purpose, the grieving family, no matter where they get it from, should not have any tax burden from it. But we know for sure that if you give to one of these law enforcement foundations, the grieving family won't have that problem. Selfishly, if you want to donate and get a tax break yourself, you have to do that through a charitable foundation, not GoFundMe.
Interesting. Okay. All right. All good to know. We just want people to have good information so that they can make their own decisions. All right. Thank you, Marshall. So we talk about these deputies. We talk about their families. We can't forget that law enforcement officers, more than 10,000 statewide, go right back to work, often within minutes of learning the news of another line of duty death. We get perspective tonight on the task of carrying on protecting Colorado from a patrol watch commander with the Douglas County Sheriff's Office.
These law enforcement officers are fully aware of what happened in the last 30 days. Lieutenant Troy A. McCarty. I'm actually a patrol watch commander. When I conduct briefing, I always remind the guys to be safe. We do always tell these guys and girls not to take things for granted, to make sure that they're practicing good officer safety on each and every call. Their desire to do the job far outweighs the potential of them being hurt. I'm sure it's going to be in the back of everybody's head, but it's not going to change the way we do our job. I'm sure they're more inclined to make sure that they do kiss their kids goodnight or goodbye, and obviously tell them they're going to see them later on after shift. This first one is to honor Zach Parrish and Detective Dan Bright, who was shot on duty but has made a recovery and is back to work. I look at it as a reminder of the people who have sacrificed their life for our community. I can't express enough how overwhelming the community support has been, particularly over the last 30 days. If they want to reach out to that law enforcement officer and just shake their hand and say thank you, that goes a long ways with us.
This is not the first time that Colorado has suffered the loss of several law enforcement officers in short order. Perhaps you remember the summer of 2012 when 3 died in the line of duty, a heart attack, gunfire, and being hit by a car. It has not been since September of 1987, 3 decades ago, that Colorado has lost 3 officers in such a short span. Then it began September 6, 1987. Denver Sheriff's Deputy Daniel Stillwell was ambushed and disarmed by an inmate who killed him with his own weapon. 2 weeks later, Aurora Police Agent Edward Hockham died after being shot by an armed robbery suspect. And within the week, State Trooper Charles Fry was hit and killed by a drunk driver on I-25 as he did a traffic stop on Monument Hill. 3 law enforcement deaths in Colorado in 20 days' time. The drunk driver who killed Trooper Fry in 1987 was arrested by a state trooper named Laura Thomas. You may now know her name as she is a Douglas County Commissioner these days. Trooper Fry was survived by a wife and 2 children. The drunk driver served 12 years. He got out. He's still in Colorado, and he's getting arrested on nearly an annual basis for, among other things, still driving drunk. We endeavor to cover the news around here without becoming the news. But our Noel Brennan became the unlikely target for Colorado State Patrol today while he was covering a story about a new bill dealing with security under the Gold Dome. Noel's discomfort is your entertainment.
Maybe it wasn't the best idea to set up a camera beside metal detectors in the Capitol. Strange looks were followed by a trooper asking to review my video. Just keeping Colorado State Patrol on their toes, if they weren't busy enough already.
I think we can alleviate some of the work for the State Patrol because sometimes those lines, as you probably have seen, are long.
Republican State Senator John Cook gets to skip the metal detectors.
We bypass all the security.
Unlike the public.
The security is sometimes backs up because we have hundreds of young school kids that all go through the security checkpoint.
Cook introduced a bill to help everyone avoid the backup.
Well, basically it sets up a Capital ID card so that anybody that wants to come down here can pay $250, get the ID card. They have to go through a background check, a fingerprint check, and then they can bypass the security monitors.
Lobbyists, activists, anyone visiting the Capitol would be able to get an ID valid for 2 years.
So this is the people's house, and I don't think there should be all that many barriers.
It's worth a mention those metal detectors were installed after a guy with a gun came looking for then-Governor Bill Ritter.
The man never made it to the governor, and he was shot by the State Patrol, shot and killed, and so the governor's protection team did his job.
This former sheriff,
I used to be the sheriff of Weld County,
doesn't see his bill creating a threat.
Otherwise I wouldn't be running it.
Just a little less security line congestion at the Capitol.
The more access we give to the public, the better.
For Next, I'm Noel Brennan.
Under this bill, the State Patrol or Capitol staff could deny an ID card to anybody they think is a security threat. We touched base with some Democrats to see if they're on board, and the House Democrats we talked to hadn't even heard of the bill, which is not a promising sign for its passage through the Democrat-controlled House. Remember that new position Denver Mayor Michael Hancock created out of thin air for Stephanie O'Malley, the outgoing public safety manager and daughter of former Mayor Wellington Webb? We told you here last night that O'Malley's becoming a special assistant to the mayor. She'll continue to make a 6-figure salary. Yesterday, the mayor told us it would be paid for from his budget. Today, a clarification. They now say that O'Malley will be paid out of the public works budget. You know, the people who pave and plow our roads. We're told it's because O'Malley will be assisting on some bond projects that go through public works. Girl Scouts in Aurora are now responsible for the city's new smoking ordinance. How do you like them cookies? Smoking in a car with someone younger than 18 aboard is now officially a secondary offense in Aurora. It means they're not going to pull you over for it, but you could get cited if you're pulled over for something else, say speeding. A lot of back and forth discussions that we've told you about over the last couple of weeks involving City Council. Some folks on Council thought that this could be a slippery slope, and they're not sure where they would draw the line. Girl Scouts were watching the whole time. There was concerns that this could create a financial burden if it's primarily lower income people who are pulled over for this. The ordinance passed, goes into effect next month. Girl Scout leaders in California are deciding whether a scout there should get in trouble for selling cookies outside a pot shop. That seems like fertile ground for sales to me. So we asked the Girl Scouts of Colorado if such a bake sale would be allowed here. And we got back an official sounding press release. So can we please have the official sounding press release reading music, please? Girl Scouts of Colorado allows troop leaders and families to determine the best location for sales. All sales sites are subject to approval. We feel our role is to help girls develop self-confidence and good decision-making skills that will help them make wise choices in all areas of their lives. Parents or guardians make all decisions regarding participation in sales. Girl Scouts of Colorado reminds all participants that when you are selling Girl Scout cookies, you are representing Girl Scouts. I didn't get a yes or no out of that, but that was a good statement, though. A recommendation of how we can all do something very kind for some people in Colorado who might be feeling lonely on Valentine's Day. Next.
Storm is on the way out after 12 to 15 inches of snow in the Colorado high country, but in Denver, we just can't buy a snowflake. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. We're going to see a nice midweek warming trend ahead of the next storm and next chance for snow on Saturday. Down to 36 after a high of 47 today. A winter weather maker across the south. We're looking at an icy mix from Dallas up to Memphis, wind chill advisories to the north, but with high pressure settling back in and a wind shift out of the southwest, temperatures will soar 10 degrees above average into the 50s tomorrow. And other than some fog on the far eastern plains late tonight and tomorrow, no real big travel or weather issues for you. There's snow and icy snow-packed roadways, I-70 and some of the foothill areas, but in Denver, it's nice. Partly cloudy, chilly low of 22. Tomorrow's high in the low to mid-50s. We see temperatures close to 60 ahead of a windy day Friday. Chance for 1 to 2 inches of snow in Denver Saturday. Skies clear on Sunday, and then another storm takes aim at us on Tuesday. Calm and quiet in the city tonight.
Kathy, thank you. May I make a recommendation, point you towards something, anything that didn't come from us but is worth your time? Tonight, I would like to recommend the recommendation of an ex-viewer named Laura Frederick. Laura's day job is at an assisted living center in Denver, Sierra Rehabilitation and Care. She requests that you help her in finding a cure for loneliness on Valentine's Day.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Seal.
How are you today?
Are you having a nice day today? The residents become part of your family.
It's good. Your smile makes me happy.
When you work in a nursing home, you're with them all the time and they become part of your family.
It's almost lunchtime. You want me to help you into the dining room?
A lot of times it feels like people get left in nursing homes and they get forgotten. And they are not really a part of the community anymore.
Is there anything I can do for you right now?
And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to do this for them.
Do you have a favorite Valentine's Day memory?
Do this. I am asking if people would please just send Valentines to our residents.
Did you put candy in with them too?
They don't have to be anything fancy. They can be something handmade. It can be 1, it can be 5, it can be 10. Whatever you feel comfortable doing would be awesome, just to help spread the love to our residents.
It's good to see you.
Anyone who would like to, if you're out shopping and you see a little card or you want to even just write a letter or draw a heart on a piece of paper, it doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But this was an easy way that we could show the residents that live here that they're still part of a community and there are still people that care. And just show them a little bit of love and make them feel it's a special day. Valentine's Day is a very special day. And so I just think it would be really great if they had the opportunity to feel how special it is.
We have the address for Laura's assisted living facility on the next page. Laura stressed with us, though, you do not have to send a card to one of her residents. She is certain that any nursing home or assisted living place in our community would welcome a Valentine's Day card, perhaps addressed to whoever needs it. Do you miss Cheryl Preheim? We miss Cheryl Preheim, too. We found her in Korea. And speaking of the other side of the world, a guy whose family is originally from somewhere over there, his name's Enver. He visited Denver. Can you guess why? Next. So you know that our man in the mountains, Matt Renew, is our person in Pyeongchang for the Olympics these days. But our good friend Cheryl Preheim is also over there, and you can follow her reporting on Twitter. Maybe we'll share a bit here from time to time. Matt and Cheryl are reunited in Korea, covering their 4th Olympics together. Matt and Cheryl and a bunch of other reporters and photojournalists from Tegna, our parent company, went together on a tour of the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. And they've been sharing photos and perspective on their experience there. Cheryl tweeted this morning. In the North Korean hills behind me, 25 million people live with no access to information other than what the government shares to strengthen its own narrative. Feel fortunate to be a journalist in a country where holding the powerful accountable is expected of the press. But I know. Fake news, right? Hey, there's this guy named Enver Siddiqui who lives in Virginia Beach. Enver always tells people his name is Denver, but without the D. His family's originally from Bangladesh, if you're curious about the name origin. When Enver realized he had a long layover in Denver on Saturday, Enver knew exactly what he needed to do, jumped on Reddit and asked if anybody could help him get photos in front of Denver signs. A Redditor named Jeff volunteered to help him out Saturday during his 6.5-hour layover. These Reddit people are cool. I mean, he picks Enver up at the airport and drives him all around town. They're at the Enver Pavilions. I mean, they hit up the entire town. It's really fantastic. There they are at Enver Mattress. Perhaps you've been there as well. Let's see a few more signs. Oh, the Enver Zoo. Yeah. Everybody loves the Enver Zoo. One more, shall we? The Enver Museum of Nature and Science.
It's been a lifelong dream to stop in Denver and take a picture in front of every sign I could find in front of the D. And so it would be like the city of Denver, Colorado. And because honestly, I've used that my entire life to explain my name. Because people hear it and they go, Andrew? Edward? And I'm like, no, it's like Denver, but without the D.
What was your overall impression of the city of Denver, then, if you had never been before?
Oh, my God, I loved it. It was so clean. People were really nice. It seemed like there was so much to do. People in the community seemed really active.
This city made a great impression, and Enver said that this was his favorite photo at the Enver Beer Company. My kind of guy, right, Enver? But he said the reason why it was so memorable is because a stranger lit up the mural behind him with his high beam so that they could get a great shot. Enver, I hope you enjoyed your time. Come back anytime. Took him 4.5 hours to take all those photos. And then this Reddit guy, Jeff, just drove him back to the airport. A lifelong dream realized. Next, we have a sign that Pac-Man may be invading and your feedback for me. Sharp as always. Next. It's a sign, one spotted by our photojournalist Mike Grady in Denver's Cap Hill neighborhood. 20 miles per hour, and then a reminder that if you go too slow or make a wrong turn, Pac-Man might be waiting for you. Send us the signs that make you do a double take around town. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. Andrew Newman writes in, loves the story of Enver visiting Denver, says, it's so goofy. We need more things like this in the world. Andrew, I agree, it's goofy, but it also means something. A visitor came to our town and was treated with respect, wasn't told the place is full and he needs to leave. We'll see you next time.